Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my fiancé to not share a letter my ex-wife sent to me on social media? Original post. My ex-wife, 34 female, sent an email to me, 34 male, pleading me not to marry my fiancé, 27 female. My fiancé wants to share the letter on her social media to expose my ex-wife, but I feel she should be the bigger person and ignore her. My ex-wife Lily and I started dating in college and were together for almost 10 years, married for 4. I thought we had a perfect relationship. However, around 6 years ago, Lily sat me down and told me she was feeling unhappy with our marriage and felt like she missed out on a lot of fun things in life because we got married early and spent all our efforts in our career and finances. We are both lawyers and spent a lot of time in our law school, bar exam, etc., and got really high-paying jobs. She felt that she never got to live an independent life and find herself. I was heartbroken, as I did not know a life without her. We went through a lot of stress during our marriage and could see her side. We split amicably and got a divorce soon, as we did not have any assets or kids to worry about. Everything went okay for the first few months. However, Lily started getting panic attacks and went into depression after she started living alone. I still cared about her and helped her during that time. She was also diagnosed with BPD and has been in therapy since. We stayed friends as the transition was difficult for both of us. However, I tried to move on from her by going on dates. Lily and I stayed good friends for almost a year after our divorce. She asked me a few times if we should try to work on our marriage, but I had moved on, told her we are better off as friends than as a couple. I met Mila at our running club and we really hit it off. Mila was much younger than me, but really matched my energy and we started dating seriously soon after. Mila expressed that she found it uncomfortable that Lily was still such a big part of my life. I also felt I wanted to invest all my energy in a relationship with Mila, and I told Lily that I would be distancing myself from her. Lily reluctantly agreed, and we stopped texting each other daily and only met on social occasions such as weddings or parties, as we both share the same group of friends. Lily and Mila never got along, but Mila tolerated Lily for me. Mila and I have been dating for 3 years, and I proposed to her during summer holidays last year when we visited her parents' house. We have been busy planning our wedding and plan to get married in September. Everything was going really well until last week. I received an email from Lily last week pleading me to not marry Mila. It was a long email talking about how we are soulmates and meant to be together. It was extremely delusional and talked about how I was just punishing her by being in a relationship with Mila, and she has learned her lesson and I should take her back now. It talked about how I would be abandoning her after I promised her that I would take care of her in sickness and in health for her entire life, and my new marriage vows will be meaningless since I promised all those things to her. I immediately told Mila about this and told her that Lily has crossed the line, and I would not only block her everywhere, but make sure I go no contact with her. Mila was very upset too, and started cursing out Lily and how she is planning to ruin her special day. Mila told me that she wants a screenshot of the email and sent it to my parents. They of course supported Mila and told her that Lily has to be cut off forever from our lives, and I agreed. Mila wants to share the email on her Instagram and Facebook so that all our friends would also see Lily's behavior, so that they all block her as well and never invite her to any events. This is where I do not agree with Mila. I know that Lily is not mentally well and has been depressed again since we announced our engagement. Lily has tried to reach out to me through my friends, but I had not given her a chance to speak to me alone. I feel bad for Lily, and I feel Mila sharing the post would only extend the drama. I also worry that my friends know about Lily's mental condition, and it would feel petty to hurt her while I am moving on and marrying an amazing person in Mila. I have told Mila about all this and she feels that I am still trying to protect Lily when she tried to hurt Mila by sending that email. I am not sure what to do at this point. Am I the a-hole to ask Mila to not share the email on social media for everyone to see Lily's private email to me? Is Mila right that Lily deserves all the hurt she would get after she makes the email public? Now for the top comments before reading the update. I'm a pretty big advocate for no contact after a breakup for this reason. I think that her reaction to being without you was delayed because she never truly understood what it was like without you in her life. You guys texted every day? Especially given her BPD diagnosis, it sounds like a dream to be able to keep you at a distance yet still close enough. Many folks with BPD have disorganized attachment styles like this. given the circumstances, I do think you did pretty good at abiding by your fiancé's preferences when she did express discomfort, which was valid, at the proximity of Lily. But I don't think your fiancé should be posting this on her social media. How immature and mean. She can show it to whoever she wants directly, I suppose, but it sounds to me like she wants to completely ruin Lily's reputation with people who aren't close enough with her to simply text them out of the blue with the screenshots. I would be embarrassed if my partner was publicly being a mean girl. I'm gonna go with not the a-hole, but by no means is everyone innocent. Yes, Lily and I have had that conversation in the past. She feels that I should have not let her leave me because she was not in the right state of mind. However, what was I supposed to do? I just did not want to be with someone who did not want to be with me. I actually feel for you. My ex is bipolar and he demanded a divorce. But because I was the one who physically left the house, he has since rewritten it in his mind as I left him. Now that I am in a steady and healthy relationship, I have been told that I shouldn't have left. I was supposed to fight for him. But what was I supposed to do? Fight him for him? How does that work? My friend's ex-wife is bipolar. She definitely left him, but now tells everyone that he left when I was sick. You can't force people to stay in a relationship with you. Nor can you force them to see the truth when they are committed to remaining blind. Now for the update. I wanted to write a quick update on my post from last week. Thanks everyone for so many insightful comments, and it really helped me think through the issue. I had a long discussion with Mila over the weekend. I know it was hard on her too, and I am sure I would also be angry if the shoe was on the other foot. I told her I understand her frustration and asked her to tell me what is going on in her mind. She told me that it bothered her that I reacted so calmly to this situation, when I should be very angry at Lily and gone nuclear. According to her, Lily has been acting horribly towards her ever since we got engaged, and is now actively trying to break us up, and I am treating her with kid gloves because of her mental condition. She said that she feels bad for Lily, but what Lily is asking me was to destroy Mila's life and hoping to take her back. According to her, Lily has a successful career and well enough to function in every other aspect of her life except when it comes to me. So even though she has a mental illness, it cannot be as bad as everyone makes it out to be. I thought about it and told Mila that the main reason why I did not react drastically to the email was because after all these years, Lily is nothing more than a stranger to me. I have barely had a meaningful conversation with her for the last 4 years and never really wanted to learn anything about how she is doing. It's true that we once shared a bond, but I have just moved on and have no time for her drama. My mind is filled with all the happy thoughts about our wedding, and I did not want to give importance to a letter from someone who has no place in my life anymore. I again brought up the topic of Mila posting the letter on Instagram to get back at Lily. I told her why I feel it is a very bad idea, and it would just give Lily fodder to continue the drama. Mila told me that she never really intended to post the letter online, and it was originally my mother's idea as she really hates Lily for what she did to me. She said that she cannot be as patient as me and is really mad at Lily. She cannot shake the feeling that Lily might do something awful during the wedding day, and Mila is anxious about it. I told Mila that her well-being is my main concern, and we should talk about the letter to at least some of my close friends so that they can keep an eye on Lily. I called 3 of my friends, who are mutual friends with Lily, the next day, and told them about the letter and also our concerns about Lily. All of them confirmed that Lily has not been doing well recently and had many BPD episodes. She had called them for help regarding that, and Lily's mom is currently staying with her to help her through the issues. None of them were surprised, as Lily has been repeating to them that I'm only dating Mila to punish her, and she feels she has suffered enough for her mistakes in her past that I should take her back now as we are even. She has also said some scary stuff regarding Mila, and how Mila is stealing me from her and she is in a fight of her life. They also told me that she has been following every post Mila makes on social media using fake accounts. All of them tried to dissuade her from contacting me, but I guess the email was the final straw. I wish they would have told me sooner, but I can understand they wanted to protect Lily's privacy. I ask all my friends to please keep me informed if Lily said or planned something I need to know. I feel I was underreacting to the email, but now I am really worried about it. I talked to Mila, and we decided we should reply to Lily's email and calmly tell her to F off. We wrote her an email yesterday and put down our thoughts. I wrote to Lily that I understand that the news about Mila and me was difficult for her. I wrote that my decision to get married to Mila is important to me, and we are starting a new chapter in our lives. I have forgiven her for any issues that happened between us in the past, and I hope that she also remembers our time together fondly and moves on to better things in life. I told her that I hope she finds a lot of support in friends, family, and therapy, but we will take a break from conversation now, and it would be best for both of us to move forward and find our own paths of happiness. I also wrote that this is my last email to her and to not contact us again in the future. We are still worried about Lily, and hopefully the email tells her that I am not punishing her and just want to move on with my life. We are also worried if she might show up to the wedding, as BPD can be unpredictable, and have decided to hire security for the wedding. Currently, Mila seems to be in a good place after we wrote the letter together. I want Mila to understand that she is the most important person to me, and no letters from Lily can shake my feelings for her. I really don't know what the right thing was to do here is. It was not ideal for this to happen so close to the wedding date, but hopefully things calm down and Lily gets support she needs. Again, thanks for all the help from the community. I really appreciate it, and any further advice is also appreciated. This is probably not over if she has been saying those types of things to your friends. Definitely hire security at the wedding, making sure everyone has her picture. And I would add additional security measures at home as well. Lily sounds very unstable and will likely spiral further as the wedding approaches. I'm glad Mila is in a better place. It's always helpful when people communicate as adults. I hope it does not come to that, but I am going to take every precaution before and during the wedding day. I have a feeling that Lily will appear on a future episode of Snapped. Defend your spouse. Until she meets someone else, she will be obsessed with her and exist vicariously through Mila's posts. For her own protection, Mila ought to set all of her accounts to private. I doubt the drama with Lily is over, but I'm glad that you and Mila seem to have come together, and you've reassured her and made sure your focus is on your pending marriage and preserving your relationship. I also think the email to Lily was a smart move. Keep your eyes and ears open for further drama. If you haven't already, hire security for the wedding just in case. I was advised that replying to the email would be the right thing to do. I was told to be as calm and as precise as possible, to tell Lily that it is over and to not keep any hopes for the future. I was also told to tell her that I am not punishing her. I hope the email helps her get closure and move on with her life. Please understand, your ex has BPD, which is a personality disorder. This cannot be treated by medication, only years of intense therapy. It isn't going to disappear with a calm email. She will be convinced Mila made you write it. She isn't going to remember your time together fondly and move on. It's not possible for someone with BPD. I'm sorry, my friend. You need to take precautions. Last story. My husband went on a last date with his ex a week before we got married to make sure. His ex was always the one who got away according to everyone around him. He ended things because he didn't see a future with her, but everyone around him was shocked because she's so good and beautiful. Then we met and I soon understood that everyone from his side preferred her. I even heard some call me the Camilla, although I am neither much older nor less attractive, in my opinion. I love how I look, even if I don't tick all of the beauty boxes, like tall, blonde, blue eyes, etc. like his ex. He never gave me any reason to doubt him, however. He gave me the impression that he knew exactly what he wanted. Was secure enough in his heart that he told me he loved me a few months into our relationship. And I never felt like he was lying or that I wasn't enough. He is fully aware of what people think about him leaving his ex, and he gave the impression that he thought they were silly and childish. He told his mom that I am who he chose, and if she wanted a part of it, she needed to clean up her act. We got married 3 years ago, and only now I found out that he went on a date with his ex a few days before our wedding. He wanted to know for sure that she wasn't like everyone around him thought, the one who got away. He wanted to make 100% sure. His mom told me gleefully when she visited our new baby, and she looked at my daughter and said she wondered what would have happened if he changed his mind after that date. And she was visiting their baby now, my husband and the one who got away, with a sigh but gleefully, you know what I mean. I haven't spoken to him for a week, and I hate silent treatment, but I just can't talk to him. It isn't something I'm doing to punish him, or manipulate him, or get the upper hand and control him. I just can't look at him or talk to him. Am I the a-hole for this silent treatment? Edit. He was there when it happened. He told his mom to shut up. Then he admitted he went on the date and admitted the reason his mom told me was the truth. Now for the top comments. Your husband is an a-hole, but your mother-in-law loathes you. To think she held onto this information until you were happy with a new baby, totally vulnerable, and then decided to drop this. That is calculated evil. It sounded more like his spur of the moment at first, but maybe you're right. Not sure anymore. No, she sat on that for years. It didn't just pop into her head. She was waiting for the perfect moment. That's evil. Yep, and it had exactly the effect she intended it to. Drove a nice big wedge in your relationship, because now in your head, it becomes what else has your husband admitted telling you. Here's something to consider. Did his last checking to be sure he made the right choice date includes sex or no? Ask it and any other questions you need answered. If you don't trust yourself to talk to him about it, make a document with your questions and ask him to provide you with the true answers. Because here's my thought. His mommy knew he was on that date, and quite sure she talked to the ex afterwards. So if they had sex, mommy knows. If she's gonna drop that little bomb in the future, your husband needs to own it now. He also should answer if he's been in contact with her since you married. He owes you answers to any and all questions, because his actions caused the situation. If needed, OP, please find a good therapist to work through this with. As to your mother-in-law, I think it would be reasonable that she is no longer welcome in your home. If your husband wants to see her, he can go to her place. Oh, and she gets a nice long time out from having anything to do with your daughter with you determining the length. Because a woman that nasty can't be trusted to not say whatever she likes that hurts you by hurting your child. Did he also sleep with her just to make sure? Did he try having a kid with her too just to make sure? WTF? What kind of stupidity am I reading lately here? Your husband is the a-hole, and your mother-in-law is a close second. I can't believe he did that and he actually told people. He says he didn't sleep with her. Geez, that's big of him. I know, right? Do you believe him? I don't know. I asked him and he adamantly denied it, but he confessed everything else. I truly believe that if he did, his mother would have made sure I knew to get rid of me. So this is why I don't know. Her not rubbing it in my face is my truth. Am I the a-hole for telling my kids they aren't my problem anymore? My ex-wife and I got sick of each other about 10 years into our marriage. We had 3 kids by then, and we tried to make it work for their sake. It didn't work, and we divorced. I let her keep the house because it was the kids' home, and I wanted them to have some stability. I paid child support, and I paid for extracurriculars on top of that. I had to work a lot of hours to afford everything I was paying for, but I thought it was worth it. My mental health improved being away from my ex, and the kids were taken care of. I tried to stay involved in their lives, but I couldn't support them financially, as well as being there for every event. I made an effort to be there for all the important things: birthdays, Christmas, holidays. I also made sure that my custody time was sacrosanct. I would turn off my work phone and be present when we were together. But no matter how I tried, they got resentful that I wasn't always there. It didn't matter to them that they only got to participate in these activities was because I was sacrificing for them. They wanted me to pay for the extras, but somehow not work to pay for the extras. When they got to be older teens, I tried reasoning with them, but their argument was that their mom worked and still managed to attend. We grew apart and they cut me out of their lives. I hated it. I still made sure they all graduated from college without debt. One of them got a scholarship, so I actually had a little extra money to give them. I rarely saw them after they left high school. I have not seen them in years now. My ex passed away and I sold house. It was mine as per our agreement. She could live there for free until she got remarried. She never did. The kids were expecting to get money from her estate, and they did. After everything was said and done, they each got about $31,000. What they didn't get was a share of the profit from the house. That will fund my retirement. I disliked my ex, but she was a good mom. I never wanted to get this money this way. I would have been fine letting her live there another 30 years. The kids came to my house to talk to me. They said that they were all counting on that money. I asked why. What made them think their mom was going to die on vacation at 53? They said that it wasn't fair that I got the house. I said I owned the house and that their mom didn't leave it to me. As part of our divorce, I owned the house and even paid the taxes and for maintenance. They said that they could really use some help. I said that none of them were really my problem anymore.
I hadn't been invited to their homes, and that I hadn't been asked to participate in their weddings. I attended as a guest. They all think I'm being an a-hole and stingy. I think they would not have bothered talking to me except for the money. Now for the top comments. They said that they were all counting on that money. I asked why. What made them think their mom was going to die on vacation at 53? Thanks for the chuckle. Sorry your kids suck. Yeah, I'm glad he called them out on that. Despite being divorced from their mother, while they supposedly had a close relationship with her, he is the one saying he didn't want the money this way and wishes she was still here, while they say they were counting on it. Which is such a weird response to someone's premature death. Even if they expected to inherit, it shouldn't have been for potentially decades yet. I can't imagine that being my priority after losing a parent. They said that it wasn't fair that I got the house. You didn't get the house. You had been having the house the entire time. Not the a-hole. Definitely not the a-hole over the house. You were not only having the house, you were maintaining the house and keeping it at a loss. So they didn't have to move and they had a more comfortable life. You paid for their college education, which isn't a small feat in itself. While you weren't there, you made it possible for their mom to be there for them. They have the right to feel estranged from you, but they have no cause to be angry at you over the house. I expect a lot of that is misplaced rage at losing their mom so early. And it's easier to blame someone you don't know well, but has expectations that weren't fulfilled. I wonder if ex-wife was truly ever honest about how their lifestyle was funded. It's very easy to afford and attend events when your biggest expense and worry is covered, and the luxury of having money for college is as well. What light did you paint OP in? Doesn't change that OP's kids are entitled a-holes. I doubt it. If the kids didn't realize the home belonged to and was funded by dad, and mom had very little estate, I doubt the kids were truly aware of what the situation is. They still suck though. Next story. Am I the a-hole for completely cutting off both parents for treating my pregnant wife badly? Hello everyone. I'm 32 male and my wife is 33 female. She is currently 4 months pregnant with our first child. So for the past 8 years or so, I've slowly distanced myself as much as possible. My mom is weirdly obsessed with hating my wife, like she wishes she was married to me or something. My dad is just the type of guy to take my mom's side in everything, whether she's right or not. He's also just straight up an a-hole, the type of guy that yells at retail workers for things that isn't their fault, lol. Anyways, because of that mix, they have hated my wife since we met at 24 and 25. Pretty much as soon as we met, I started to distance myself and my girl, because I didn't like the way they treated her, but now I have to cut off all contact completely. About a month ago, we announced our baby and my parents have been incredibly pushy about a lot. First of all, my wife's mom passed away, so if it's a girl, we are naming her her mom's first name. If it's a boy, we're going to use her mom's middle name, since it's gender neutral. This was always something that was important to her. She was extremely close with her mom and has always wanted to honor her like this. I think it's beautiful. And the middle name, regardless of gender, is the name of where we first met. I'm not going into specifics on here obviously, but trust me, it's a cute name. My parents had to make a big deal that they don't get a say. My dad even said the words, "It's our son's baby. She's just carrying it." That ticked me off, because it's her baby she's carrying too. I told them to give it a rest and my mom spent the entire night trying to guilt us into adding her name or my dad's. So now a few days, both my parents come over to tell us they both will be in the room. I told them absolutely not, because my wife already told me she only wants me there. My mom gets all upset that she needs to see her first grandchild be born. And my dad's mad saying my wife is selfish and thinks she's the first woman to give birth. I told them it's her body, and when it's one of them pushing out a child, they get to decide who's there in the room. By the time the conversation ended, I was so mad I told them to leave and not come back until they want to respect my wife. I kicked them out, and for right now they are not able to contact us as I blocked them from everything. Before blocking them, I sent a message telling them to not contact her, not step foot in my property, and stay away from the hospital when the time comes. Now, if they decide to change and be respectful, we would both cautiously welcome them back into our life. But for right now, all I know is my wife's biggest dream in life was to be pregnant and be a stay-at-home mom one day. There's literally tons of pictures of her as a child playing pregnant, and I really want this time to be something she can cherish. They were stressing her out, and she was already struggling with the fact her mom isn't here. The last thing she needs is my mom attacking her. We're also planning the gender reveal for 7 months. My wife wanted a bigger bump in the videos/photos, so we're waiting. And I was scared they would ruin it for her, so this gave me a lot of relief there as well. My older brother sent me a message saying what I did was way too far and it wasn't that big of a deal. But I stand by what I did. Honestly, I probably should have done it sooner, but it's not easy. So, what do you guys think? Not the a-hole. Your wife and child are your family. Your parents are intrusive and demanding. Not a good combo for a good marriage or life. Not the a-hole. Agree fully with this commenter. Recommend that you alert the hospital to make sure your parents and others are barred from entry when the time comes. Congratulations on the pregnancy. When did this thing of people thinking they should be in the delivery room start? That's just crazy. It's not a spectator sport. I agree. I was actually shocked they even tried. I was extra shocked when they tried to argue. The only person who has a say in who is in the room that day is the person pushing the child out of her body. Childbirth is traumatic and scary enough for women. The last thing they need is entitled people thinking they deserve to witness it. I mean, for us personally, my wife is already uncomfortable with the doctors and nurses who see it every day, seeing her give birth. I also talked to a friend who also experienced this with his parents. I can't even begin to understand why anyone would think they deserve to see a child that isn't theirs to be born. Keep on the path you are on. You are right to protect your wife and child. That is your family now. You have been patient long enough. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not putting the baby in the basement? About a year ago, my 16-year-old son came home visibly stressed. We asked him what is wrong, and he started crying and saying he got his girlfriend, who is also 16, pregnant, and they don't know what to do. We went to the parents of the girl, who had no idea about it. All of us discussed it together. The girl was terrified and didn't want an abortion, but didn't want the baby too. We offered that she can give birth and we will raise the baby for her. We want the baby and we don't want to ruin their lives. They can choose whether they want to stay in the baby's life, and we will not ask for child support. They agreed. The baby was born 4 months ago and she is just the most wonderful and beautiful baby girl. The girl chose to not stay in her life. My son wants to be in her life, but doesn't want to be responsible for her yet, which is fine. We finished the basement for him because we wanted him to be able to study without having the baby's crying distract him. Things have been going very well. We adore the baby and my son does too. Now, my older kids, 18-20, have been complaining that it's not fair that they have to deal with a crying baby while our own dad gets to hide in a quiet basement and not deal with her. They think that we should put the baby in the basement with her dad. I told them that I have a responsibility towards the baby and my minor sons, so I will make sure the both of them get to have a good and happy childhood. The rest of them can move out if they have a problem with this. They think I'm an a-hole and favoring my youngest. Now for the top comments. Let's be very clear here. It's not your son's child. You wanted a child. The bio mother and bio father did not. They effectively acted as surrogates for your child. You chose the baby. That's your right. But your other children are correct that you are rewarding your son for his irresponsibility. You have a new baby. It may cost you your older children's respect. You seem comfortable with that choice. OP finally got her little girl. I actually feel so sorry for the older sons. Not only do they know they've been replaced, but also their irresponsible younger brother is being rewarded for giving his parents this gift. So your 16-year-old messed up, and now everyone except him is dealing with the consequences of that? You're the a-hole, and a crappy parent to boot. OP's son already knows how to make a baby and must not be tolerated. I understand that she pities her son, but what I do not understand is why on earth is she still giving her son the baby treatment? Why not teach him to be responsible for his actions? When will he feel obliged when OP is not teaching him how to be responsible and just tolerating him? Edit. I have made my final decision and I will not change my mind, so you can stop commenting. If they think they're old enough to decide what should happen in my house, then I will treat them like the adults they are. This means no freeloading. Anyone over the age of 18 who wants to have a say in what happens at my house must pay $1,000 each month for rent, which is a fair price for rent where we live. Plus, they will be responsible for all of their own expenses from now on. I will not be paying for their groceries or their bills, or their gas or anything else. Time to man up. Whichever of them who can do this is welcome to live in the basement instead of my youngest. Needless to say, none of them has a job, so I already know what is going to be their answer. As for my youngest, I will support him however I can while he is a minor. As soon as he turns 18, he has to follow the same rules. However, I will provide everything for my granddaughter until he gets a full-time job, because her happiness is what matters the most here. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to take down a small display of my deceased husband, even though new boyfriend thinks it's unfair to him? So my husband passed away late 2018. It was sudden, it was devastating, and I still miss him. He was only 33 and I was 29 when it happened. He had been my best friend for almost half of my life, way before it became a romantic relationship that eventually led us getting married in 2014. Fast forward to today and I've found love again with a new man, 36. We've been together for about 2 years, and 5 months ago he moved in with me. It was going pretty good until a couple weeks ago. This man has always been so patient and understanding. We had a bunch in common and would get each other's references to like old cartoons and movie quotes. He laughed at my bad jokes. Every now and then, he'd get moody when he'd want to watch TV with me, and I would get caught up in a painting or project. To be fair, this happens a lot. I don't like watching TV when we could do something else, and I have a lot of hobbies and just started a small business. I feel like 1 or 2 movies a month seems sufficient, and it's basically the only activity he ever suggests. I tried things like working on something in the same room as he watches something, but apparently it only counts as quality time together if I'm also watching with him. I don't get it, but this was the biggest problem we had until recently. A couple weeks ago, out of nowhere, he started acting very angry and insecure. He keeps bringing up events or statements he says I made months ago and accusing me of hiding things. I know that I haven't done anything I'd have to lie to him about, so even if I don't remember a particular comment I made last February or something, I can be sure that it wasn't anything meant to deceive him or mask my secret doings or whatever. I don't have the time or energy to be in a relationship where I have to hide stuff, and if it came to that, I would rather be single. Anyway, sorry, that was a long backstory. Back to the main point. In our bedroom, there's like a nook in a corner where I keep my business supplies and a tall bookshelf that I mostly use for general storage. There are several bins and like my sewing machine and of course some books. You can't see any of it from the main part of the room, but I use it regularly. Taking up maybe 1/4 of one shelf, just under a foot long, I have a place where I display a little urn with some of my husband's ashes. A mug he got me that says wifey, a little stuffed mini doll, and an infinity cube I decorated years ago that says I love you. Behind this, there's a picture of my husband kissing my cheek. My boyfriend told me last night that it's disrespectful and unfair to him that I have that up in our room because I'm not married to him anymore. That he and I are now together, and he shouldn't have to look at me with another man. I would agree with that if my husband wasn't dead, but he is. Am I wrong for being firm on this? For the record, this whole display is easy to overlook, and he doesn't have anything in that little enclave of the room, so he wouldn't have to see it if he didn't try to. Not the a-hole. You've got a late husband, not an ex-husband. You didn't break up, he died. You're allowed to keep reminders of your late husband around. For as long as you want, or forever. I wish my pop's new wife had understood this from the get-go. I might still have a family. Widowed person here. Woman, run. Anyone who demands that you banish the memory of your late husband deserves none of your time and attention. If that was all, it would be bad enough. But your boyfriend is showing classic signs of an abusive partner. Educate yourself on the signs and patterns, and make a plan to get him out of your house. And whatever you do, don't get pregnant. I have a friend who married a widower with 3 kids. She's been very conscious from the beginning that without this tragedy, she wouldn't have the life she does. She's moved some furniture around, repainted a room or 2, but she keeps the last family photo they took in the same place on a wall. They update a similar photo every year, but she's never touched the old one. They celebrate her husband's first wife's birthday, and she makes sure the kids see their grandparents and other family often. She tries to incorporate at least a few traditions their mom started on major holidays. She says that without the woman her bio kids know as Aunt Ruth, none of them would be here. And just because she's gone doesn't mean that she doesn't have a place in the family. I know my friend is a very rare breed, but I wish she wasn't.
Am I the a-hole for not including ex-wife's stepson on a trip with my son?
My ex-wife and I have joint custody of our son, Brandon, 12, but he spends his summers with me. For the past few years, Brandon and I spent a few weeks during the summer up at my father's old place by a lake that he left me after he passed. It's the best place for kayaking, long hikes, and bike rides. My ex got married a year ago, and her husband has 2 sons, who I'll call Todd and Jared. Todd is 14 and Jared is 10. Brandon gets along just fine with Jared. They've gotten pretty close, and I've taken Jared along with us a few times if we're celebrating something for Brandon. I'm talking birthday trips to Disneyland or going to the beach. Last summer, Jared also joined us for our summer trip to the lake. The one my son really had problems with is Todd. The kid has had behavioral issues, and when they all first moved in, Brandon complained about how much Todd would bully him for no reason. Calling him names, going into his room and breaking/stealing his stuff, and other things. I immediately confronted my ex about keeping our son away from him because of the things Brandon said he'd do to him at their house. I threatened to take her back to court to change our custody arrangement if she didn't do something about it. My ex is aware of Todd's issues, so she and her husband try to keep him in line. Todd leaves Brandon alone now, but they don't interact at all when he's over there, and my son absolutely hates him. The other day, my ex called to ask me about my summer plans with Brandon. It's already been agreed that Jared would be coming, and she asked if I'd consider taking Todd too. I said no, and I only bring Jared because my son invites him and they actually get along. Todd is the last person I'd want there. Well, my ex said Todd is jealous that they get to do something cool for the summer and feels left out. She believes this would be a great way for them to learn to get along, but I told her that's up to Brandon, and he's made it clear he wants nothing to do with Todd. Now she won't let this go, and telling me I'm being so unreasonable about this when it could be beneficial for the boys. And she feels guilty that Todd will just be at home while Jared gets to come with us. I've not changed my mind about this and been treated like an a-hole. Even after Brandon told her he doesn't want Todd with us this summer, she's still making a big deal out of it. It's hard to see how I'm being a jerk about not wanting Todd to come with us when all he's done is be a bully. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Todd will be jealous, but he'll also learn his bad behaviors have consequences. Don't let a bully ruin your son's summer. If he starts behaving well, then maybe consider taking him for next time. Edit. By considering, I do not mean Opie should reward Todd for stopping his bad behavior or something. What I meant is that if Opie-san and Todd establish a relationship by then, and if Opie-san wants both to come then, and lastly if Opie's still okay with taking his son's stepbrothers, then he might consider taking both. Also, the vibe I'm getting from the ex is that she wants a few kid-free weeks and sees Opie as a way to get a vacation from her kids for free. Otherwise, why hasn't all the time the kids spent together at the ex's house been a good opportunity to bond? Sounds like it's been the opposite. Not a-hole. I was also gonna say, the most Opie could do here is give her a week with Brandon during the summer so she can take the 3 boys on a bonding trip. Why the hell should bonding be Opie's responsibility? Not a-hole. Not a-hole. If Todd is feeling left out because your son and Jared are doing something cool this summer, your ex and her husband should use that time to take Todd to do something cool. It isn't your responsibility to make Todd feel included. Your responsibility is to your son. Your son doesn't like Todd, and it's unfair to potentially ruin your annual trip because Todd is jealous. The ex probably wants to get rid of Todd for a week or 2 as well, and is looking for Opie to take the hit. Not the a-hole. If she wants the boys to have bonding experiences, she can facilitate that when they are at her house. Brandon avoids Todd when he's at his mom's, so that's why they don't try. Besides, she knows I will try to change the custody agreement if he does anything to my son again, so she mostly tries to keep them separate. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for calling my husband a jerk? I, female 33 and husband male 37, had a baby 5 months ago. He really wanted kids. I was on the fence. However, I am the one who does 99% of the baby stuff. Asking him to do something is like pulling teeth sometimes. He keeps making jokes like he doesn't need to do stuff. He has a wife for that. Or he can't do something. He's holding the baby. But when I have her, I'm expected to do everything. So earlier, I was talking about sleep training. How if dad does the check-ins, then baby doesn't expect food. So he make a joke about how he'll just give me one of his t-shirts so he doesn't have to do anything. I lost it and said, why do you have to be such a jerk? I feel like he makes these jokes at my expense, constantly. They're kind of demeaning and hurts my feelings. But whenever I say something back, I'm so mean. Anyway, he took his things and is now sleeping on the couch. I went and said sorry for losing my cool and tried to explain how constantly making chauvinist jokes since he got home had resulted in eventually the last straw. But he is ignoring me. Am I the a-hole here? Edit. I did want a child. I was on the fence because of everything I'd have to give up, not because I didn't want kids. I did want a kid eventually. It just happened a bit sooner by a year or so than planned. Husband does help out with some housework. That is, unpacking dishwasher every morning or cleaning on weekends. And he helps with bath time with baby at night. Not the a-hole. Ask him if he would like his custody split, because if he keeps this crap up, you are leaving him. One baby is enough. You don't need him acting like a child on top of it. And for goodness sake, when you wind up leaving him, get a proper legal custody agreement. Him saying that Opie's so mean for having a problem with him blatantly disrespecting her is so childish. You're right, Steve. You have a God-given right to be insulting to your wife, and I humbly apologize for expecting to be treated like a person. Can you do me a favor quick and put that in writing for the judge? This is being purposefully passive-aggressive so he can set you up as the bully and guilt-trip you. Don't fall for it. He's definitely being a jerk. Not the a-hole. I also noticed that he removed himself and pouted on the couch, probably ditching and daddy babysitting. Not the a-hole. Why are you apologizing? He owes you an apology. I would have left him on the couch so he can think about all the hard work you put in. There is nothing funny about someone who uses jokes to belittle you and has misogynistic views. I would suggest couples therapy. It works wonders. Seriously, I'm so tired of women apologizing to men for upsetting their bad behavior. Update. I had a convo with him. He said I'm not pulling my weight because I didn't job hunt this week. I was cleaning the house instead, and once I get a job, we will divide tasks more equally. But until I go to work, I get to lay about the house and take naps. So he doesn't see why I should do more, because that's unfair as he has to go to work all day. Also still waiting for an apology. I communicated I wanted one for hurting my feelings. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for saying I co-parent with a nanny in front of my ex-husband and his family? My ex-husband and I have been separated for a year and will more than likely be starting the divorce process any day now. Ever since we split up, my ex has hired a nanny to help him with childcare for our 2 kids during his time. The nanny usually does pickups and drop-offs. Originally, I would try to communicate things about the kids directly to him, but I could barely get in touch with him. He always made some excuse about how work was busy, but I feel like he should at least respond to my emails about the kids quickly, and that it was his responsibility to make sure the nanny had the relevant information too. Eventually, I got fed up with having to hound him every single time he needed information about the kids. And since the nanny does almost all of the childcare when they're with their dad, I decided to just communicate with her directly. I do still update my ex too, but now I only send him one email, and it's up to him to make the effort to read/respond to it. This has worked really well for the kids. They seem to be doing a lot better during their time with their dad now, since the nanny makes the necessary adjustments for them. It was my ex-mother-in-law's birthday, and she asked me to bring the kids because my ex wasn't sure if he would be able to go. I still have a good relationship with my ex-in-laws, and I didn't want my kids to miss out on time with their family, so I agreed. My ex ended up showing up towards the end of the day. I haven't had to see my ex face-to-face in a very long time, and he has always known how to push my buttons. I was trying to be civil for him for the kids' sake, but he kept baiting me when no one else was in earshot. My mother-in-law made a comment about how she was so proud of us for being able to co-parent so well after everything. My ex had whispered a sly comment to me not 2 minutes before my mother-in-law made her comment, so I was already quite fuming. So I responded with, "Yes, I really enjoy co-parenting with a nanny. She's fantastic." My ex and his family weren't amused, and I received a lot of backlash from all of them. My ex accused me of calling him a deadbeat, and said he didn't want me talking to his nanny anymore because I should be communicating directly with him. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. I'm sorry, but when he's not making an effort to communicate with you to coordinate around the kids and makes every excuse in the book to make himself unavailable, then you have every right to say what you said. He's offended because he didn't think you'd call him out in front of his family, and probably painted a picture that he's doing a much better job than he is doing. Not the a-hole. She's not the a-hole, but she just made her life a whole lot harder. I'm not sure I could have bit my tongue either, but being not the a-hole isn't enough when kids are involved. Yeah, much like dealing with crazy roommates' posts. This is you're right, and you've had to put up with way too much BS, but you're simply in a horrible position where you need to be extremely measured and strategic in how you advocate for yourself regardless of fairness situation. The difference is, the consequences of not having superhuman self-control will rebound to her kids more than her. It's not really suited for this forum, since Opie has to consider a lot more than who's in the right. It's not fair that her ex is such a vindictive, pissy deadbeat. But that's life. Oof, that one hit your target perfectly. Not a-hole. You didn't call him an awful dad. You made a joke about how often you talk to the nanny. You also complimented him on finding a great nanny. I personally think it's a clear everyone sucks here. The ex sucks, point blank. No arguments here. He should be a present father, and he should already be the one handling the communication with Opie, not the nanny. It's ridiculous that he is only now saying he's going to step up. Opie kind of sucks for dragging the ex-in-laws into something that didn't involve them. But I'll mostly give that a pass since she said the ex was purposefully baiting her behind the scenes. Mostly though, I think Opie was the a-hole to herself. Yes, it's a crappy co-parenting situation as far as the ex goes, but Opie admitted herself that it's actually been working great for the kids. Plus, she also stated it's been less stress for her overall. This one comment has, at least temporarily, caused all of that to come crashing down. Best case scenario, the ex gets over it and everything blows over, and either goes back to the way it was, or even better. The ex steps up like he should have from the beginning, and they actually start communicating properly. Worst case scenario, the ex stays pissed/vindictive about what went down, and fires the current nanny out of pettiness since she has obviously built a good relationship with Opie, and then hires someone new that he can train to not work with Opie at all. Edited to add, I don't blame Opie at all. Knowing myself, I would have said exact same thing. I'm just worried about her and I want everything to work out. Not the a-hole, but I agree. The first thing I thought was, well, the nanny's fired. A lot of people seem to think he would have fired the nanny/said something to her, but he didn't. The only thing that has really changed is that he responds much faster now, and occasionally drops/picks up the kids himself. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for being honest with my ex? I, 27 female, have a child with my ex, 30 male. We were together for 5 years when I found out I was pregnant, and then the entire relationship started to go downhill. I won't go into details because they're a bit too specific for my liking. But suffice it is to say that he was manipulative, a liar, and financially, mentally, and emotionally abusive. Finally, right before the due date, I broke things off. I was already living with my mom by that point. Fast forward 7 months, and all he does is show up 3 times a week, wiggle some toys in the kid's face, and speed read him a book for 30 to 60 minutes. We started at 2 hours 3 times a week, but he just started leaving earlier and earlier. If the kid poops on his watch, he just leaves it for me to deal with, but he doesn't even tell me it happened. In the last month, he's left me 5 poopy diapers, 3 of which have resulted in diaper rash. I have no idea how long the kid was sitting in poop for each time. Other missed opportunities to help include, but are not limited to, sitting around while I was trying to feed a kid a post-med snack, and me saying, no, sorry, can't come early because that's his dinner and bath time, and he didn't offer or ask to help/do any of it for me. Last night he sent me a text at 10 p.m. wanting to talk. I asked what about, and he left me hanging for over 10 minutes. He has acknowledged in the past that he knows I hate that. Like, if you ask me to talk, be ready to talk. He knows I get stressed and anxious when he does that. When he finally responded, he kept beating around the bush, and I kept telling him to spit it out. Over an hour later, we finally reached the point of this talk, or at least I got a solid question out of him. He wanted to know if there was anything he could be doing to help with the baby. I asked if he felt he was doing the best he can, and he said yes, but asked if I felt he could be doing more. I kinda lost it on him a little. I pointed out the dirty diapers, the times he's forced me to keep the kid awake for his visits, even when the kid is sick or just working and dropping a nap. The fact that he never bothered to learn how to calm or even hold a kid, resulting in me having to purchase a $50 floor seat so he would have somewhere to sit that wasn't on his father's lap, etc. And here's where I might be the a-hole. I told him that I kinda think the kid just tolerates his presence. I've spoken to my friends and family, who have all the details of our relationship, and they all laughed and said it's all true. And if he's bothered by it, then he should have done better from the start. But obviously my ex thinks I was rude. I kind of agree, but I also feel it was justified. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your ex is a lazy excuse for a parent and needs to step up. Edit, just read your other comments. Your ex is not just lazy, he's downright toxic. Stop worrying that you're in the wrong. You have a kid with a mistreating deadbeat. I did say in the post that he was abusive. Lol. Not the a-hole. He asked for your opinion and he got it. Due to his manipulative past, I also wouldn't be surprised if he got offended and / or thought you were rude no matter what you said. I won't dispute that. But his style is more telling lies and omitting details to get what he wants. Then when it blows up in his face, as our relationship did, he acts like he has no idea what you're talking about, and you're an a-hole for rescinding whatever thing you promised based on his lies. Not the a-hole. With the way you write, the ex seems to be, probably to the kid who is too young, just a random visitor. I'm assuming there is no custody agreement? None yet, but there hasn't been a real need for one yet. I'm waiting on a birth certificate, which he isn't listed on because it didn't sign. To get a passport though, just for regular travel when we're able. My sister lives in another country, so if there happens to be an emergency, it's good to have at our disposal. So I'm probably going to attempt to get sole custody, formally, tomorrow night. I've heard they're starting to employ the just because the father isn't listed doesn't mean there isn't one idea, so I want to avoid trouble.
Update. Am I the a-hole for becoming indifferent towards my wife after discovering her affair? Original post. My 30 male wife, 34 female, and I have been together for 8 years, 5 of them married. I thought we were the kind of couple that could tell each other any problem. I loved her deeply and always believed she felt the same way about me. Like many couples, we had our ups and downs, but I never thought it could lead to infidelity. 4 months ago, I started noticing changes in her behavior. She was more distant, always glued to the phone and avoiding our conversations. You know, the typical thing about a cheating person. Well, one day I came across a message on her phone that confirmed that I feared the most. She was seeing someone else. It was like a punch in the stomach. I felt anger, sadness, and an overwhelming sense of betrayal. But instead of confronting her right away, I decided to wait. My main reason was to protect myself in a possible divorce. If I was going to face this situation, I wanted to have solid evidence. So I spent the next 2 months gathering messages, photos, and anything else I could use if things got legally difficult. During those 2 months, I pretended normality while the pain piled up. I watched her act like everything was fine, and with each passing day, my feelings for her faded. The love I once felt was replaced by indifference. If anyone says that love for someone doesn't go away, well, it's not entirely true. When I finally gathered all the evidence, I confronted her. I showed her everything I knew, and although she tried to deny it at first, she finally admitted that she had been having an affair. She said it was a mistake, that she still loved me, and that she wanted to work things out. But by then, I didn't feel anything anymore. I didn't scream, I didn't cry, I didn't even get angry. I simply told her that it was okay, that we could get a divorce, and that we could each move on with our lives. My lack of emotion baffled her. She said my indifference was cold and cruel, and that if I had truly loved her, I should have fought to save our marriage, which was ironic coming from her. But the truth was that I did love her, very much. Only after 2 months of living with a betrayal in silence, I just didn't care. Am I the a-hole for becoming indifferent towards my wife after discovering her affair? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. Remember this, the only reason she is sorry is because she got caught.
And she wants to work on the marriage after she realized she was caught. Me thinks the affair partner doesn't want anything serious. More likely OP has money and the affair partner does not. Not the a-hole. The indifference you are feeling is probably a defense mechanism. Don't be surprised if you have a lot of different emotions. Good luck, OP. True, grief hits people differently and sometimes at the oddest moment. Now for the first update. Wow, honestly, I didn't expect the volume of messages I've received in the past few hours. I apologize for not being able to respond to each comment, but rest assured, I am reading them all. My inbox is flooded with hundreds of replies, and I'm truly moved by the support and by how many people took the time to share their experiences and opinions. At first, I felt overwhelmed reading so many stories from people who have gone through similar situations, some even worse. I never imagined that so many people could relate to what I'm experiencing. It's eye-opening to realize that infidelity is more common than I thought. And yes, there were also comments that made me question whether I disconnected emotionally too quickly. But after reflecting, I believe I did what I needed to do to protect myself. Some have told me I should have tried to save the marriage, but the truth is, I don't think I could have. The betrayal felt like a wall that went up between us. And once I saw everything clearly, there was no going back to what we once had. It's not that I don't want to love or be loved, it's just that the chapter with her is over for me. Does that make me cold? I don't know, but it's my truth. One of the most impactful realizations has been seeing how many people are stuck in relationships where trust has been broken and they feel lost in how to move forward. To everyone who asks how I'm handling it, I don't have a definitive answer. For me, it's been a slow process, day by day, watching the love fade until it was simply gone. I also received messages from people in my wife's position, those who made mistakes but genuinely want to make things right. It made me wonder what would have happened if I'd confronted her before my feelings faded. Maybe things would have turned out differently, but honestly, I doubt it. Once trust is broken like that, it's nearly impossible to go back to what it was. Anyway, I want to thank everyone who shared their words, whether supportive or critical. You've given me a lot to think about, and I'm grateful for that. I'm processing all of this bit by bit, but if there's one thing I'm sure of, it's that for the first time in months, I feel like I can breathe and look forward without the weight of what happened. Thank you again. Bro, just love your kids. I don't have children, but we plan to have them in the future. Also sorry for others' comments blaming you for the affair. It's amazing how they always blame the victim. Divorce is the right decision. That level of lowness isn't something worth trying for. Second update. Hi everyone. For those who don't know, I'm the guy whose wife cheated on him and I eventually became indifferent about it. I'm doing this mini update because many of you asked for one, but I'm feeling a bit lazy today, so don't expect a long one. To start, the divorce is in progress. The notice was delivered to her at a friend's house since the house we live in is mine, inherited from my mother's side. Regarding the divorce, she didn't take it well and called to tell me she would contest it, saying we weren't getting divorced. I didn't respond. I just hung up because hearing her voice bothered me in that moment. I read some comments saying indifference is a way to protect yourself from strong emotions, and I think they were right. After a few days, I started thinking about the time invested in my marriage, and I really got angry. For her, 8 years of relationship meant nothing. She was willing to throw it all away for someone else. For those curious, her lover is older, maybe 40 or 47, and he has a wife and kid. Honestly, I don't care what happens to him. Both he and my soon-to-be ex are trash that came out of the same landfill. Sorry I got angry writing this, so I took a break to calm down. Back to my soon-to-be ex, I really don't care if she contests the divorce. She's only making things harder for herself, since all our assets are separate, including the house where I live. For now, that's all I have to share. Thanks for the advice, and to those who commented that I should work things out with her, screw you. You don't get to decide for others, and frankly, it says more about your own issues. I'd rather divorce 1,000 times over than stay with someone who has no morals. Tell the wife of her lover, not the a-hole still, good luck in your divorce. She's a cheating POS. This and change the locks to your house. Maybe get some cameras. I have a sneaking suspicion that she might want to surprise you in a skimpy outfit in your house to pursue you. If she tries, call the police on her. I think she still thinks you will come around. Not the a-hole. Indifference is the ultimate power move. She made her choice, and now you're making yours, with a coolness that probably stings more than any argument would. Contesting a divorce from a house she doesn't own? That's next level denial there. Keep calm and let her handle the consequences of her own choices. Went through something similar. Indifference saved my sanity too. Stay strong. Focus on your peace and let her deal with the consequences. Contesting a divorce she can't win is just noise. You're doing what's best for you, and that's all that matters. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to loan my sister money for a divorce lawyer after she cheated on her husband? My sister, 36 female, has been married to her husband, 38 male, for 12 years. They have 3 kids together, and up until recently, I thought they had a pretty solid marriage. But about 2 months ago, she confided in me that she's been having an affair with her boss. She claimed it started because her husband doesn't pay attention to her, but honestly, I think it's just excuses. Well, her husband found out last week. He's devastated and wants a divorce, which has put her in a bad financial situation. She's now asking me, 32 male, for a loan to help cover the cost of a divorce lawyer and some of her living expenses. I refused. I told her that I can't support what she did and that her actions have consequences. She got furious, called me judgmental, and said I'm abandoning her when she needs me most. Our parents think I'm being too harsh and should help family no matter what. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give her the money? If your parents think you're being too harsh and that family helps no matter what, then they can step up and help her fix her mistakes. Family helps family. Yeah, right. Who is helping your brother-in-law? Your sister has showed that she'll betray family for her own pleasure. Exactly. If my parents are so set on family helping family, they can go ahead and cover her lawyer fees. Funny how that rule only seems to apply when it's convenient for her. It's unfair to her kids and husband. Not the a-hole. Tell her to ask for a loan from her boss. Yeah, that's what I told her actually. He could lend her the money. Not the a-hole, and you should be judgmental because your sis is a piece of trash. It's not the first time she cheats on her partner. She did that on one of her first boyfriends, and I found that really disturbing. Not the a-hole. I mean, let's break this down. She didn't accidentally bump into an affair. She fully signed up for that plot twist herself. Now she's looking at you like her personal get-out-of-consequences-free card? Sounds like she's got commitment issues. Not to the other people's money, apparently. And your parents think you're being harsh? Right. Because nothing says supportive family like bankrolling a cheating scandal. You're just politely reminding her that actions have, those things called consequences. It's like she's somehow shocked that there might be real-life consequences for breaking up her family. She didn't just slip into an affair. She chose this mess and now expects the family to rally around her like she's the victim here. And my parents are really pushing that family loyalty angle. But to me, loyalty doesn't mean blindly funding someone's mistakes. It's one thing to support family in times of hardship, but she created this situation. She was hoping I'd just bail her out with no questions asked, but that's not how it works. Maybe it's time she starts figuring out the commitment she's got to her own choices. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not helping my ex-husband with babysitting and telling him to F off? I used to be married to Tom, and I honestly thought we were happy. We had a great house, good jobs, close friends and family, everything, until we had our daughter. She was born with a disability that heavily restricted her physically and mentally. Tom, being the coward he is, left us. Only recently has he started paying child support. He got remarried and had 2 more daughters. I don't speak to him, nor do I need to. He never talks about his own child and basically ignores her existence completely. His wife has tried to include my daughter and me in their family, but I refuse. I don't like her and I focus on myself and my daughter. Now here's the problem. His eldest daughter from his second marriage was in a horrible car accident a few months ago. She survived but is in critical condition and still in a hospital. Tom approached me and asked if I could babysit his youngest since he and his wife need extra time to visit their other daughter. He offered to pay me. I told him I didn't have time to care for his child and suggested he call other family members. He begged me, saying his family lives too far away and I'm the only close person he knows. I told him that's not my problem and explained that my daughter isn't used to having new people in the house. She needs to know someone for a long time before she's comfortable, and I'm not putting her comfort at risk for his child. He called me selfish and said I was punishing him and his daughter. I told him he could think whatever he wanted, and I haven't spoken to him since. His family has been harassing me over this, but I don't think I'm wrong. They're fine with him being a deadbeat, yet they're giving me grief for not bending over backward for him. I'm here because I do feel a bit guilty, but I think that's just mom guilt. Am I the a-hole? Why hasn't all those people giving you a hard time stepping up and helping him out instead of hassling you? Don't know. Maybe they can't stand him either. First of all, tell his family to watch her themselves, and then tell them to F off. Where were they when he ignores his child? Block them all. Not the a-hole. He refuses to see his daughter as his own, so you have no need to see his daughter as your own. He needs to own up to ostracizing you and your daughter and find a babysitter. It's just a weird thing to ask your ex, who hates you, to babysit your child. Some people just have no shame. Last story. Am I the a-hole for calling off the wedding after my fiancé gave his ex closure without telling me? I, 28 female, have been with my fiancé, Tom, 30 male, for 3 years. He and his ex, Sarah, were together for 6 years before we met. And she's been a shadow hanging over our relationship the entire time. At first, I understood. They shared a lot of history, and breakups can be tough. But we're supposed to be each other's future now. We're planning our wedding, building a life, and I thought he was done with the past. A month ago, Tom got a random message from Sarah asking for closure. He didn't tell me about it, and instead of ignoring it or at least discussing it with me, he responded and met up with her. I found out when I saw a message on his phone that said, "Thanks for last night." My heart dropped. When I confronted him, he swore nothing physical happened, saying he stayed over until early morning just talking. I don't believe him, and worse, he got defensive, calling me insecure for feeling betrayed. He said Sarah deserved closure, and that I should understand since he's with me now. The more we talked, the more I realized he doesn't think he did anything wrong. I tried to explain how hurtful it was that he hid this from me, especially when he didn't need to. But he made me feel like I was the problem for being jealous of a friendship. Then came the kicker. Tom had the audacity to tell me this needed to happen so we could truly move on. He even suggested that Sarah should come to the wedding as a friend to show everyone there's no bad blood. I was stunned. How could he think it's appropriate to invite his ex to our wedding? Someone he apparently still feels the need to support? I've since called off the wedding, saying I need time to think, but my family and friends are split. Half say I should be able to trust him if he says nothing happened, while others think I'm totally justified. Meanwhile, Tom has been telling our friends that I'm controlling and making a big deal out of nothing, and now I'm second-guessing myself. Am I the a-hole for putting my foot down, or am I overreacting to something that really was innocent? He stayed there overnight for closure? Just how long does closure take? Not the a-hole, and he is bad-mouthing you to everyone, which only confirms your choice. I wonder how he'd feel if he spent the night with her ex. Exactly. I can only imagine the outrage if the tables were turned and I stayed over with my ex. Somehow, it's okay for him to pull something like this, but if I'd done it, I'm sure he'd see it as a betrayal. It really shows a double standard and lack of respect for our relationship. I have come to a realization I deserve someone who values my trust as much as I valued his. Not the a-hole. You're the rebound. Opie, that whooshing sound you're hearing is from the bullet you dodged. The controlling comment was game over no matter what. Get everything that is at his place and block him. They can have each other. Right? That was the final straw. It just showed he was trying to twist things around and make me feel guilty for his shady choices. I'm definitely done with this. Time to get my things and move on. They're welcome to each other. Thank you for this.